Everybody, hello and welcome. It's been an off season like no other, but now the moment is almost here. Oh, it's time for football. I am Chris Clark, and this is Playbook. We're all season long. We're going to be diving deep into the biggest storylines in the ACC. So let's get right to this thing, shall we? Oh, I mean, some great news, football fans. You don't even have to wait until Saturday to check out some action on the gridiron. Miami kicks off the season tonight. Hurricanes host UAB in just an hour at 8 o'clock. Miami finished last season 6-7, including a loss in the Independence Bowl. So, you know, they're going to be looking to get off to a good start this time around. Of course, we can't talk about ACC football without first talking about Clemson. The Tigers begin the season as the top-ranked team in the country and kick things off with a trip to Wake Forest this weekend. Here to break that one down and look ahead to the rest of the season is WSPA's Pete Yannity. Pete, Clemson, they've won the last 5 ACC championships. Do you see this thing changing this year, or are the Tigers going to stay on top, and we just might as well go ahead and give them the trophy right now, man?
Chris, I always like to look at the if factor. So will this team win a national title? They will if these things happen, and they won't be in the same place if they don't. I think this is a ball club that obviously has star power. I mean, 2 legitimate Heisman Trophy candidates and their quarterback Trevor Lawrence and their running back Travis Etienne, who will probably also become the all-time ACC career rushing leader this year. But there are a lot of question marks on this ball club, certain position areas. A lot of youth or a lot of guys who maybe have been on the roster for a few years but are becoming starters for the first time.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of looking at them like if they show up, they're going to win. But that's just me, and that's why we have you to kind of smooth things out. The Tigers lost some impact players on the defense to the draft with Isaiah Simmons and A.J. Terrell going both in the first round. How are they shaping up on that side of the ball this year?
Well, I think you've got to look at it as Dabo Swinney saying he thinks he's got the best back 7 that he's ever had. And you're like, well, how can that be with Isaiah Simmons having moved on? You mentioned another first-round draft pick in A.J. Terrell. They really only have one starter back in the secondary, Darion Kendrick, first-team preseason All-ACC player, and yet he's listed as an either-or at his cornerback position in terms of being a starter. You get the impression maybe that was done as much for motivation. But things to like about the defense is in this 2020 recruiting class, they brought in guys who can help right away, namely Brian Brzee, a defensive lineman who is really something up front, and he's got a couple of other freshmen around him who are expected to make an impact. And from the way things work defensively with Brent Venables, he's proved since he arrived in 2012, he pretty much just takes the chess pieces and makes them work, and he probably has the most talent in terms of recruiting level in his true freshman, redshirt freshman, and true sophomore classes as he's had since he's been at the helm.
And it's that kind of inside information, you all, is why we keep Pete around and definitely why we keep going to him for the best of the best stuff there, man. Thank you. Of course, now the guy that we're going to be talking about all season is Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's racked up the accomplishments already. Yep. What can he do this year?
That's a great question. I think you're going to see, actually, believe it or not, in what's certainly his final year in the program, getting ready maybe to be the top pick in the NFL draft, you're probably going to see him run a little bit more. And that may be by design, but it also may be by the fact that his wide receiver core is probably as inexperienced and unproven a group as he's had now in his 3rd year in the program.
Really only got one here before we let you go to focus on Saturday's game at Wake Forest. Clemson beat the Demon Deacons 52-3 last season. I mean, they hung half 100 on them. I mean, are we going to be seeing another game like that one, or is Wake got something for him? Is there something that maybe have a wrinkle there that Clemson hasn't seen?
And, Chris, usually you'd say, well, they got slaughtered in Death Valley last year, but, well, of course, it's back at Wake Forest home stadium. Maybe it'll be better. Well, 2 years ago, Clemson won that game 63-3. So they've beaten Wake Forest a combined 105-6.
So what you're saying is take the over in this one, Pete, just boil it down, right?
Take the over, and I have the feeling the visiting team may cover the over, if you know what I'm saying.
I got you. No more questions asked there. Thanks, Pete. We'll be talking to you a little bit more later on in the season. Take care. Clemson's quest for another ACC title begins Saturday night at 7:30 at Wake Forest. And as WGHP's Danny Harden reports, the Demon Deacons hoping to make it a tougher contest than the Tigers might expect.
Mixed emotions for the Wake Forest football team as they kick off the season. Well, they're thrilled about actually getting out on the field and playing a game. Excited about ESPN Game Day showing up, but also knowing the incredible challenge of taking on the #1 ranked team in the country, Clemson. For the Deacons, they remember that they got embarrassed by the Tigers the past 2 seasons.
Yes, last season, Clemson crushed Wake 52-3, and the year before, Clemson worked them over 63-3. For Wake, it's tough to look back at that game video.
It's definitely hard to watch. I definitely would second that. But I think it's just more motivation that, we haven't played anywhere near our capability the past 2 years.
The odds makers are assuming it's going to be another Clemson blowout on Saturday. The Tigers are favored by as many as 32 points.
We have to stay in it. We've actually played Clemson better when we weren't good.
Whether the Deacons get blown out or pull off a shocking upset or anything in between, they'll be happy to be back out on the field doing what they love, because many times this summer, that looked doubtful because of COVID-19.
Once that first snap hits and, whoever's got the ball first, it's just everyone's kind of going to take honestly a big sigh of, relief that we made it this far.
Yes, it took a lot to get to this point, but Wake Forest is ready to get to work. It's a nationally televised game against #1 Clemson, Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern.
Thanks a lot, Danny. Good stuff. And when the ACC announced it would play football this fall, you could hear a cheer go up in Durham. The Duke football team had been working hard all summer, getting into shape, staying away from COVID, doing what they had to, and they got some new faces in key positions just itching to get out on the field. Then the ACC announced the schedule and gave #1 for Duke, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Okay, well, now it's not exactly like picking a fight with the schoolyard bully week 1. That'd be drawing Clemson. It's more like stepping to the bully's best friend. You know what I'm saying? However, it's still going to be a brawl, you feel me? And not for nothing, Duke still remembers what the Irish did to him last year as well. Losing to a team is one thing, but last year, Notre Dame beat Duke by just beating them up. The Blue Devils get their chance at redemption this weekend, but they can't be slow to the ball. They can't worry about making mistakes, and last but not least,
we can't be afraid. We can't play on our heels. I thought we got on our heels a little bit on both sides of the ball a year ago. They're talented. They are outstanding.
We weren't as aggressive as we should have been, especially in the tackling phase of the game.
Problem #1 for Duke is Irish quarterback Ian Book. His 181 yards through the air was the setup jab, but his 139 yards on the ground was the hook that put the Blue Devils away.
His running ability was on display in big plays that he put out there running the football.
He's very good at keeping plays alive. So when we got the opportunity to tackle him, we got to do it on the first chance.
That was all last year. In the here and now, the Blue Devils come back with a champion field general of their own in Chase Bryce. The Clemson transfer was part of a program that went 41-3 with 3 ACC championships, 3 college football playoff appearances, and the 2018 national championship over the last 3 years.
As he got more comfortable with our system, what you started seeing was his experience. He's played a lot more football at this level than the other two have.
I'd say the last 2 weeks, I've been throwing the ball a lot better, putting it where my receiver has an opportunity to catch it and make a play. And then also, stretching it downfield.
Keeping him upright is a nasty bunch up front. They may have lost a mountain in senior Jack Wallaba to a knee injury, but his replacement, 6'3", 305-pound Will Taylor, is no molehill.
I feel like we're more physical. That's the biggest thing. I've had a lot of fun coming out here these past couple weeks through camp, where, you line up across from a guy and all you're thinking about is running straight through him. It's fun to play like that. It's fun the less you have to think about in your head, the more you can think about being physical.
And even though Michael Carter plays in the secondary, their importance is primary when it comes to winning this football game.
We definitely will have a role in carrying this team far. Coach G always refers to us as, we got to be the tempo setters. And bring the energy, and I think that's definitely how we'll do our part.
And last but not least, it's about offense, defense, and special teams grabbing momentum and then handing it from one unit to the next like the baton at a track meet.
We get a stop on defense. We need to take advantage of it with our return game and then take advantage of it offensively. That's how you get started in games and make yourself competitive. And that's always something that we're focused on. And again, part of that is you got to create some of this with being aggressive.
Going to be a tough one. The Blue Devils have been pretty good in season openers under Coach Cutt. In the last 8 season openers, Duke has outscored his opponents 326 to 115. Guys play good football early on as well with a winning record in September. Not the best against ranked opponents, however, though, in the Irish, they do have a lead in this series when you just strictly go by the numbers. Meanwhile, those same Irish, they start the year as the 10th ranked team in the country, coming off an 11-2 season in 2019, including a dominant win over Iowa State in the Camping World Bowl. WTTV's Chris Widlick is covering kickoff in South Bend.
10th-ranked Notre Dame is the only major college program in the state of Indiana that will play football in September. And joining the Atlantic Coast Conference for this one unique season gives them some new opportunities. Now, the Irish are loaded, coming off an 11-win campaign. They returned veteran quarterback Ian Book and a solid defense. And being familiar with most of the conference schools and teams will help. Winning a conference title, just another carrot to dangle in front of the Irish players.
Well, it's never been a goal. So, you know, it's an established goal now is to win a championship, an ACC championship. So, you know, it allows you to, you know, our mission is to win a national championship and graduate all of our players. We're able to talk in terms of a mission being, you know, to win a championship and now either an ACC championship. And if you win that, obviously you keep your mission alive for a national championship. So you've got both of them now in your eyes and in your vision for what you want to accomplish during the season.
Notre Dame is a 3-touchdown favorite as they welcome Duke to Notre Dame Stadium, which will look and feel very different from what we're used to. Just 20% capacity, about 16,000 fans, most of them students, ready to support the Irish and what will be a historic season in the ACC. Covering Notre Dame for Playbook, I'm Chris Widlick.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris. Game time set for 2:30 p.m. in South Bend. Those fans, like you said, comprised of family members of football players, Notre Dame students, Notre Dame faculty and staff, and parents of players of the opposing team. The band will not be allowed on the field, however. That's going to be different looking. That band was always down there causing problems sometimes. The good kind, of course. North Carolina checks in at number 18 in the AP preseason poll. The Tar Heels host Syracuse Saturday at Keenan Memorial Stadium at noon with no fans in the stands. WNCN's Alyssa Ray has more on what's expected to be the start of a very special season.
In Mack Brown's first year back in North Carolina, he led the Tar Heels to a 7-6 campaign and a bowl game victory. Given the experienced players returning, the 18th ranked Heels received a lot of hype in the preseason. Now it's time to find out if it's deserved.
A lot of people have been talking about how much better we're going to be and how good we're going to be, and we'll see now, is that hype real?
A lot of us, you know, didn't think we'd get here, but, you know, it is game week, and I think everybody's excited. I think it's a new kind of feeling in practice, new kind of air.
Quarterback Sam Howell had a stellar freshman season, earning Rookie of the Year and Offensive Rookie of the Year honors. He threw for more than 3,600 yards and 38 touchdowns. UNC returns De'Ami Brown and Daz Newsome, who each had more than 1,000 receiving yards a year ago. Michael Carter and Javonte Williams in the backfield combined for almost 2,000 yards and 8 TDs.
You know, I'm truly blessed to have all these guys around me. You know, I have so many good receivers here and 2 of the best backs in the country, I think. So, and our O-line's done a really good job. They've improved a lot since last year.
The offensive line has been the question mark on that side of the ball, but the guys are confident they can step up when needed.
Yeah, I think building depth is still a big emphasis on what we need to do. Just coming this week, I know a lot of people are ready to play, but just knowing what to do is a huge thing out on the field. So we got to build depth there.
North Carolina was voted number 3 in the ACC preseason poll behind Clemson and Notre Dame. They have a date with Syracuse at Keenan Memorial Stadium Saturday at noon. Chris?
Thanks a lot, Alyssa. UNC and Syracuse didn't actually play each other last year, but their game in 2018, man, well, it was a thriller. The Orange edged the Tar Heels in double OT. But it would be a surprise to see a game that close this time around. As WSYR Stephen Fainty reports, the Orange are huge underdogs.
Well, when Syracuse released its depth chart on Monday, several names were noticeably absent, including the team's top 2 running backs in Abdul Adams and Jarvion Howard. On Tuesday, Matthew Gutierrez from The Athletic cited a source of his who said Well, we kind of assumed all along that those two have decided to opt out of the 2020 season. That opens the door for redshirt freshman Jawar Jordan to see extended playing time. He appeared in just 4 games last year, running for just over 100 total yards and a touchdown. That position is one of the question marks on offense for the Orange, along with an O-line that was beat up last year and yielded 50 sacks, the most of any Power 5 team in the country. As for Saturday's opponent, North Carolina doesn't seem to have any glaring weaknesses on offense. Led by the 2019 ACC Rookie of the Year Sam Howell, the Tar Heels appear to have the pieces in place to put up a lot of points this fall.
You're talking about a person that a lot of people say is the second best quarterback in the conference. And, he's got a big-time arm. He can touch the entire football field. There's no doubt about it. And, one of those future draft choices that are going to come out high, I'm sure. So he's a good player. We know he's a good player. Would we like to catch him later on in the season? Sure, we would. But I think the big thing is our guys are excited about playing a football game, and we're going to go down there and give it our best shot.
Syracuse is about a 3-touchdown underdog, and with 2 new coordinators and a whole lot of questions on both sides of the ball, it's easy to see why. Covering Syracuse, I'm Stephen Fonte.
Thank you, Steve. Meanwhile, Florida State might have a lot of history, but they're coming off back-to-back losing seasons and have a brand new head coach on the sidelines. WNBB's Courtney Mims covering the Seminoles.
The Florida State Seminoles are opening up their season with Georgia Tech on Saturday, and the Noles are looking to first-year head coach Mike Norvell to turn things around for the program this season, as they haven't had a winning record since 2017. Even though Florida State is on its 3rd different head coach in the past 4 years, the starting quarterback will be a familiar face, as James Blackman will lead the offense in this Saturday's game. Blackman received glowing reviews in this year's fall camp from all of the coaching staff and is the only one with significant starting experience out of the other QBs. Florida State is set to shine on the defensive side, though, since they returned 9 starters and several key backups for this season. However, head coach Mike Norvell realizes that this is a year where the roster could change at a moment's notice, and they are actually prepared for that.
We got a plan B, C, D, E. I think we got them all covered. There's, once again, unprecedented time, and it's something that you always go into a season with a plan B. We have, our thoughts of what would happen, of what would occur, and how we would adjust to every situation, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else.
It will be a different atmosphere, too, when Florida State welcomes Georgia Tech to Doak on Saturday. Just 16,000 fans will be able to watch the game, and only 4,000 of them students. Covering Florida State, I'm Courtney Mims.
Thank you, Courtney. Saturday's game at Tallahassee kicking off at 3:30. The Seminoles' opponents, Georgia Tech, obviously, are also coming off a losing season in 2019. Covering the Yellow Jackets this week, WRBL's Rex Castillo.
In 2019, Georgia Tech hired new head football coach Jeff Collins to bring some new life to Atlanta. While he was an engaging and charismatic coach, he did bring a lot of changes to the Jacket system. No more option football. It was time to spread it out. However, the growing pains showed. Last season, the Jackets only won 3 games and just 2 games in the ACC. Tech finished dead last in the Coastal Division. The expectations for the team heading into 2020 are going to start right there. The preseason polls have the Yellow Jackets finishing dead last. Usually, teams give the generic answer of, "We're only focused on us." However, head coach Jeff Collins says the team understands those low expectations are out there.
I'm sure they ended up here and there on a couple of group text messages and things like that, but we're solely focused on getting better.
Georgia Tech kicks off their season against Florida State, who also has a new head coach in Mike Norvell from Memphis. Coach Collins says there's a brand new set of challenges when you prepare against a team with a new coaching staff. And Tech's game plan against the Seminoles starts with some research.
A lot of talent returning. I think they've got upwards of 17 to 18 guys that started for them last year that are returning.
Reports have surfaced that Georgia Tech has named their new starting quarterback. However, Georgia Tech will not release that name until game day. The good news for whoever the young signal caller will be, the smaller crowds at game day will cut down on some other challenges they'll face.
I don't care, how much I try to coach them up. They're still going to go out there and go, whoa, this is really cool. There's a lot of people here. It's really loud.
Reporting from Columbus, Georgia, I'm Rex Castillo. Back to you.
Thanks a lot, Rex. Meanwhile, Louisville looking to build off a successful 2019 season, which included a win over Mississippi State in that Music City Bowl. The Cardinals going to kick off 2020 out of the ACC. Taking a closer look at their opening matchup against Western Kentucky is WEHT's Randall Parmley. Randall?
It is finally game week for the Louisville Cardinals. Scott Satterfield's team kicks off the season with a non-conference game Saturday night when they host Western Kentucky. Now, this will be a return game from a matchup last season with the Hilltoppers in Nashville, a game that Louisville won 38-21. And this should be a great tune-up for ACC play for the Cards because this is a very good WKU team, a team that won a bowl game last season and is expected to contend for the Conference USA Championship this season. Now, many fans may not know a lot about the Hilltoppers out in ACC country, so let's get to know the Cards' opponent this week. WKU went 9-4 last season and beat Western Michigan in the First Responders Bowl. The Hilltoppers are coached by Tyson Helton, the former Tennessee offensive coordinator who begins his second season as head coach in Bowling Green. Tyrell Pigram will start the season under center for WKU. He's a grad transfer from Maryland who has big play potential, and the key for the Cards will be trying to find a way to put points on the board. WKU returns 9 starters from last year's defensive unit that was outstanding. They were the best scoring defense in Conference USA. Kickoff is at 8 o'clock Saturday night in Louisville, and it should be a good one. Covering the Louisville Cardinals, I'm Randall Parmley.
Always the best, Randall. Thank you. There's going to be a few fans in the stands at Cardinal Stadium when that game kicks off Saturday night at 8. Can't wait to see that one. And Pittsburgh also gets the 2020 season started with a non-conference game. They host Austin Peay on Saturday at 4. The Panthers finished 2019 at 8-5 with a W over Eastern Michigan in that Quick Lane Bowl and returned starting quarterback Kenny Pickett, among others. Well, this offseason hasn't just been tricky on teams and fans. Man, it's also been tough on the odds makers in Vegas. But joining us now to make sense of the numbers heading into this week 1 is Jason Logan of Covers.com. Good to see you, Jason, man. It's been a strange season for college football and an even stranger one for the ACC with Notre Dame joining the conference for 2020. I assume Clemson is on top. But what do the odds to win the ACC title look like this fall, man?
Sure, of course Clemson is on top, and they're a minus 350 favorite to win the ACC. What that means is you got to wager $350 to win $100, and it may sound a little steep, but considering how good the Tigers are, it's not a bad deal. The addition of Notre Dame did shake up the futures odds a little bit, and we see Notre Dame at plus 500, and that really their only true threat to Clemson to win this conference, at least on the field. And then behind them, we see Miami and North Carolina plus 1,600, Florida State plus 2,000. And then you got Pitt, Virginia Tech, and Louisville all kind of bringing up the rear around plus 4,000 to plus 5,000.
I wish I had an extra 350 just floating around to be able to put down there right now, but I don't because, you know, I got bills to pay. But Notre Dame has joined the ranks of the ACC for the 2020 campaign, and they kick it off against Duke on Saturday. What are the odds makers treating the Irish like in this one?
Yeah, so Notre Dame actually opened as a 20.5-point favorite and got bet down to minus 20, just under that key number of 21, which is the 3 touchdowns. The Irish, they bring back quarterback Ian Book and a ton of experience on the offensive line, so a lot of points expected to be scored in South Bend this season. We look at the Blue Devils, and pretty respectable roster on both sides of the ball. For Notre Dame, they got to bottle up that Blue Devils rushing attack and make them put the ball through the air, and that's where I could see Notre Dame's opportunistic secondary coming in and making plays on defense. So I got to be leaning towards Notre Dame in this one.
That's just tough drawing the Irish right out of the chute, but at least you get a chance to see exactly where you stand, that's for sure. And Clemson seems to be atop all of the college football futures, odds to win the national title and the ACC championship. Where does the Tigers star quarterback Trevor Lawrence rank among the Heisman contenders, though?
Yeah, this is a bit of a lopsided market compared to past years for the Heisman odds, but we're seeing Lawrence as a 3-to-1 favorite to win the Heisman. And with those odds being so great, it does open up some value in a market that has provided some surprise results in recent seasons. And we look at a couple of guys from the ACC, Jameis Winston, Lamar Jackson, 2 guys from the ACC that kind of surprised and won the Heisman in their years. These odds, though, got a big shakeup when the Big Ten pulled out, and that moved a lot of guys up the board. And De'Ara King from Miami is one of those guys that saw his name jump right up the Heisman board. He's at plus 600, which is a second overall choice to win the Heisman at some sports books. He transferred from Houston. He pulled the plug on the 2019 season when the Cougars stumbled out of the blocks, caught a lot of flack for it, but this guy is dangerous, and he's dangerous with his arms and his legs. He's actually the only FBS quarterback right now to pass for at least one touchdown and run for at least one touchdown in 15 consecutive games. So King could be worth a wager to strike a pose and hoist the Heisman this year.
I have to get you to go ahead and maybe strike a pose for us later on in this one there, man. Thanks, Jason. Enjoy that weekend full of football, and we'll see you again next Thursday, man. And it might be week one, but a few ACC teams are idle this weekend. Boston College, NC State, Virginia, and Virginia Tech all get their season started next weekend. And Virginia going to look to keep their winning ways from 2019 rolling along in the new season. Last year's Cavs were 9-5, won the Coastal Division, went to the Orange Bowl. And as Natalie from WRIC reports, the Cavs, they're going to look a lot different in 2020.
The 2019 season is one that Virginia football fans will never forget. The Cavaliers won the ACC Coastal Division and played in the Orange Bowl. Now the challenge for Bronco Mendenhall and his team is to build on that. The pandemic wiped out spring practice and also changed UVA's plans for the summer. And that's forced Mendenhall to adjust his normal camp routines.
I've chosen not to add additional conditioning, but I have chosen to do more acclimation and situational work of actually just playing the game.
Virginia will have to replace quarterback Bryce Perkins, who also led the team rushing last year. Redshirt sophomore Brennan Armstrong is the new starter. After 2 years of backing up Perkins, Armstrong feels comfortable in the system.
It looks similar to last year. You know, the schemes really haven't changed much. I know I have different skill sets than Bryce, and I think I just bring those to the table.
Several of the new players came to UVA through the transfer portal. One of those interesting pickups is running back Shane Simpson. Simpson was an FCS All-American at Towson, but with the Tigers season moved to the spring, he chose to leave. Virginia hopes he can add a different element to the offense.
Since I got here, they treated me like family, and I can't thank Coach Mendenhall and the staff and my new brothers enough for bringing me in.
On defense, 15 players who started at least one game last year return. The Cavaliers are off in week one, but will open with a huge game at rival Virginia Tech on September 19th. Covering Virginia, I'm Natalie Calabat.
Thank you, Natalie. And right now, there's no kickoff time set for the rivalry between Virginia and Virginia Tech in week two, but we'll be sure to bring you plenty of coverage next week. Until then, let's get a preview of those Hokies season with WFXR's Jermaine Farrell. Jermaine.
With Virginia Tech's football season set to kick off in 9 days, head coach Justin Fuente met with members of the media Wednesday morning via video conference and updated them on the program. And what big question? Specifically, the quarterback position. We have a little more clarity to which player will be the starting quarterback for the Virginia Tech Hokies when they host the Virginia Cavaliers next Saturday. Virginia Tech head coach Justin Fuente saying that Hendon Hooker will be the starter, but you cannot count out Braxton Burmeister as the starting quarterback. Fuente says he has been impressive in camp, and overall, Coach Fuente is proud of the quarterbacks on the Tech roster.
You know, if we were to play a game right in this moment, you know, Hendon would start for us. I've been really pleased with him throughout fall camp. But Braxton would play, and I've been really pleased with him as well. And Hendon is our starter and deserves to play, and, you know, Braxton has earned that right to play as well.
I'm very grateful, you know, that I've been put in different situations to showcase my ability and just overall just try to get better every day. And just really trying to work on being consistent still. You know, you can never be too consistent. Just trying to get to the perfect platform.
Now the Hokies will get another week to prepare for their in-state rivals and the Virginia Cavaliers. They won't start off the season this week, but it'll be next week. And it'll be the start of 10 straight weeks of games for the Hokies. Covering the Virginia Tech Hokies, I'm Jermaine Farrell.
All right, thanks. That's what I'm talking about, Jermaine. And NC State also got the weekend off, but the Wolfpackers still going to have their eyes on the action up and down the coast. WNCN's Todd Gibson covering the Wolfpack from Carter Finley Stadium. Todd?
NC State was supposed to have its home opener this weekend, but a COVID-19 outbreak several weeks ago pushed the contest back. Now the Wolfpack has the weekend off when most of the rest of the nation will be playing. So how will the Wolfpack players watch this weekend's game? Will it be as a player or as a fan?
I feel like at some point in time when you do this for, you know, a certain period amount of time, you can't even watch football as a fan anymore, man. It's kind of like just natural instinct you kind of become, you know, in tune with, you know, the more details or the details of the game and whatnot. So I'll try and watch as a fan, but that probably won't end up happening.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely be able to watch some games. It'll be cool to kind of have a lot of the big college football teams back playing. So we'll still have practice Saturday, but I'll definitely be able to watch some games. Excited for that.
With all that's going on, from we're going to play, we're not going to play, we're going to play, we're not going to play, and then all the things happening socially, there's been a lot mentally these guys have had to deal with. So that part probably was healthy for them to have a little bit of a break.
Well, you can bet NC State will be fixated on the Clemson-Wake Forest game this weekend, with the Demon Deacons coming to town the following week. Covering the NC State Wolfpack, I'm Todd Gibson.
Great stuff as always, Todd. The Wolfpack going to be looking for some payback in that game against Wake Forest. Last season, the Demon Deacons beat NC State 44-10 in Winston-Salem. This year's showdown kicks off next Saturday, like you said, at 8 o'clock. And Boston College is the other idle team this week. The Eagles made it to the Birmingham Bowl last season, but ended the year with a losing record. BC is going to be looking to start a winning season in 2020 when they visit Duke next Saturday at noon. And that is it. Thank you for joining us for week 1 of Playbook. Remember, you can watch a new episode every Thursday night at 7. And until next week, man, get out there and watch some football. I got some wings and ribs with my name on it and a Miami game on TV. See you guys next Thursday.